we are talking about the Knicks because the Heat did steal game one, 108-101. Jimmy Butler, he had a problem with his leg late in the game, about 5 minutes remaining. It looks like Josh Hart sort of forced him to roll his ankle. It's weird. Normally, that's a self-inflicting wound where you roll your own ankle, but Josh Hart kind of rolled Jimmy Butler's ankle, and the report today was his ankle is the size of a baseball, so he'll be questionable for game 2. But the Knicks took a crushing defeat. They were up, I believe, at 5 at halftime, and then fell apart in the second half to lose by 7. So I don't know, what was your takeaway from this game 1 loss by the New York Knicks?
Very disappointing. My God. We were at the game, and when the guy in front of us wasn't standing up most of the time watching the game, it was fun to watch. So I think the Knicks were up by 14 in the first half. It looked like they were on their way.
5 in the first half. But
at the end of the first half. But during the first half, they were up by as many as 14.
Yes.
Right? And it looked like they were going to walk away with the game there for a while, and then the Heat came back near the end of the first half and cut it to 5. And then in the third quarter, it was all Heat. I mean, they were ready to play. They had their rotations down. They had a good chemistry out there on the floor. Jimmy Butler playing like the pro that he is. And the Knicks looking maybe a little nervous and not being able to hit any three-point shots. I think that was the difference in the game, right? The Knicks hit like 20% of their three-pointers. It was ridiculously bad. And the Heat, Kyle Lowry coming up big. I mean, he's a player that hasn't played that well this year, but he was good yesterday. And Vincent, they really got good contributions from other players besides Jimmy Butler. And I thought they were on demand, right? When they lost, Oladipo hasn't been playing, and Tyler Hero broke his hand and can't play. So I figured, the Heat are on demand. They're going to, the starters are going to get tired, and the Knicks are going to be able to win this series. I'm not so sure now. I mean, they didn't have Julius Randle yesterday. That would have helped them. He probably would have contributed maybe 20 points to the effort, and that would have been very different from the way it turned out. But Obi Toppin had a pretty good game. I don't know why he wasn't in there more in the second half. He was the only one that seemed to be able to hit a three every once in a while. So I don't know. It's I'd say the next game for the Knicks, I say, is a must-win. I think they got to win one at home. They can't go down to Miami down 2-0.
Right.
That'll be very tough for them to come back after if they can't win the next one.
Right.
So I think it's important for them to get Randall back in there. And you said that
Butler?
No, the other guy, the Knicks.
Jalen Brunson?
Jalen Brunson has an issue, right, with his ankle, too.
Sore ankle, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. If he can't play, I don't know. And Randall can't play, then they're really in a pickle. If they can get all of them out there and Butler can't play, then they got a pretty good chance to win the second game, I think.
I would agree. This is the tale of two halves. The Knicks played two entirely different halves. The first half is all about dominating in the paint. They had 40 points in the paint compared to the Knicks' 20. So they were all about dominating down low. They didn't take many threes. They took 16. They took more in the second half. I think they took 2 more. But they actually made these threes, or somewhat. They shot 18%. They made 3 threes. In the totality of the game, they made 7. So they didn't shoot very well from 3. In the second half,
from 3.
In the second half, they were settling for threes. They weren't driving as much. They just decided to take a bunch of threes. I'm going to try to bring up the third quarter here. In the third quarter, they shot 13 threes. In the entire game, they shot 34. So they shot about, 33% of their threes in the third quarter alone. They made 2 of them. 15% compared to the Heat's 50% from 3. They shot 5 of 10 in the third quarter.
They would have been better off to give up on the 3 and let Brunson try to drive in there and get that short shot, which he was hitting regularly.
Right.
And he did very well with that. That was their offense for a while there. Just him, out there dribbling around, then eventually penetrating down about 15 feet and tossing up a shot, and it went in most of the time. That was the best. That was the best thing they had going.
And this is not the case where the Heat just outplayed them. They were missing open shots. Jalen Brunson went 0 of 7 from 3. I actually have each one of these missed threes here. I mean, these are not really contested threes. The first one, he's got space there. That's just a complete brick. And then you had RJ right there to sort of help him out at the very end. But these are open shots. These are not like highly contested shots. This one was wide open. Great pass by RJ. And then Jalen Brunson just completely bricks it. This one was also bad. Step to the side, tries to hit it, completely missed it. I mean, it got bad. Josh Hart went 0 for 4 as well. But these great pass by Obi Toppin to RJ, he misses. Mitchell Robinson gets the rebound. Jalen Brunson open. Jimmy Butler doesn't even jump to try to contest it because they haven't been hitting these all game. Like, these have just been absolutely abysmal. Like, the shooting, look at this. An air ball late in the game from 3.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And then Jalen Brunson tries it, and he misses. Yeah. And then Josh Hart gets a nice little put back.
Crazy, yeah.
The Knicks could not hit a 3. And the third quarter started out terribly. Throughout most of the game, actually, it was bad. The Heat were able to get easy buckets off missed shots. I also have that as well. Let's bring that up. I mean, the Heat got these long passes for easy layups. I mean, this is just bad transition defense whatsoever. They're not paying attention. Jalen Brunson take the shot, doesn't even know that Jimmy Butler's running behind him. And then look, it's easy shot there. And
they had like 3 of those right in a row, right?
Yeah. And then this is the last one. This is the third one. I mean, no, Mitchell Robinson couldn't get a rebound. Kevin Love finds it for like the second time. Obi Toppin can't really do much, and Jimmy Butler slams it home. I mean, the Knicks had bad transition defense. They had most of the time, had bad transition offense. In the I believe it was the third quarter or the fourth. I'll bring it up right now. In the third quarter, third quarter was horrible for the Knicks. They lost the third quarter pretty heavily. But Jalen Brunson tried to be the hero. He would try to drive through 2-3 guys. Same with RJ. He would try to drive through 2 or 3 guys. And it was
RJ was forcing shots.
It was bad.
He's forcing shots. Yeah.
This didn't make any sense. And also, I want to talk about this. In the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left, you're down by, I think, 8. Jimmy Butler gets his ankle rolled, and he's hobbling. He can't move. He was literally placed on the corners of the wings as simply a decoy, just to stand there. He didn't really do anything. He was chuckling at the end of the game. But what did the Knicks not do? And I told you this, sitting in the stands. You got to attack Jimmy Butler. RJ Barrett was being covered by Jimmy Butler. Pass it to him, have him drive on a guy who can't even walk very well. Jimmy Butler was hobbling and limping when he's going up and down the court. Yeah. So if you blow by him, that should be an easy layup, or you draw contact for a foul. Jimmy Butler's not going to be guarding a guy like he's Dylan Brooks or Pat Beverly. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's just bad. And also, another thing, horrible decisions on Tom Thibodeau's part for the timeouts. They were up by 10 points a couple times, and you're calling 2-3 timeouts when you're up by 10. That's the job for the Heat to do. That's for them to slow down your own momentum. But instead, you do it, and with 6:30 left, you got 1 timeout left. And again, is this. Obi Toppin played 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. He's your third leading scorer. And you play him 2 minutes. Now, he did play all of the third quarter, just like he played all of the first quarter. But then he played 4 minutes in the second. You're down by how much? You're down by how much going into the fourth quarter? Let's see. You're down by 6 going into the fourth quarter. So it's a close game. You play Obi Toppin for 2 minutes. He scores 3 points, and then you bench him. He was the only guy really making threes. I believe he went. What was the number here? He went 4 of 11 from threes. Everyone else had 1 3. It was Emmanuel quickly shot a 3. Quentin Grimes shot an early 3, and RJ Barrett had 1.
Where was Grimes too when they needed 3 points? They needed to catch up. Why wouldn't they have him in there? He's their 3-point shooter.
I don't understand what the Knicks plan was.
40%. He hits up 40% regularly on the threes. They should have had him in there.
So
he hardly played.
The Knicks just had a bad game plan for the Heat. They didn't know what to do. They had bad transition defense. Jimmy Butler was not the all-star here. It was Kyle Lowry once again stepping up off the bench to contribute, because once Jimmy Butler was hobbled, he was the one making plays. Gabe Vincent hit an incredible fall-down 3 late in the fourth quarter that was like, oh my God, this game's probably over. Bam was a decent factor. He scored 16 points on over 50% shooting. Kevin Love knocked down a couple of threes. Gabe Vincent shot 5 threes. Like, they were doing really well.
I think Vincent and Lowry made a big difference in the game.
Right.
Especially Lowry. You didn't expect that. Compared to Quickly and Hart, they had poor games, really. Yeah. You expect more from them.
Quickly, this entire playoff.
Quickly, right?
Quickly so far this playoff hasn't been very good all
only 9 points. Only 9 points, right? And didn't even have anything else going for him either. He had 1 assist, and he didn't have any rebounds. So I think really he played very poorly. and Hart had 10 points, but he didn't play the way he's been playing in prior playoffs. He had 4 assists, he had 8 rebounds, so not a terrible game, but not what they needed. Not what they needed. They needed him to step up more.
Absolutely. And just like the bench players sometimes have their moments. Josh Hart starting, I think, is a good idea. Generally on defense, he's pretty good. A lot of times in this game, though, he would get blown by Jimmy Butler. And the thing is the Knicks were slow on rotations. Like the Heat would just keep making these passes and pump fakes. The Knicks are just getting pump faked to like everywhere. They could not decide whether or not the Heat were actually going to shoot the ball or not. And that would lead to wide open shots, or they would just keep passing it until the guy was wide open, then he would take the shot and he would make it. So the Knicks just played bad defense, and in these playoffs they've been playing great defense, and I think that's what they were hoping for. Josh Hart shutting down Jimmy Butler, and for the most part, till he start the game, Jimmy Butler wasn't the factor. In the first quarter, it was Gabe Vincent and Kevin Love who were the leading scorers. In the second quarter, Jimmy Butler didn't really get going. It was in the third quarter when you had those long passes that were for easy 2-pointers. The Heat started to get rolling, and they led as much as, I believe, 11 in the third quarter. And also, let's look at this number. The Knicks had 13 turnovers. It equated to 22 of the Heat's points.
Yeah. So the Heat only had 8.
The Heat had 9 turnovers, and the Knicks could only score 8 points off that.
8 turnovers by the Heat.
Okay, yeah, no, you're right. And it only equated to 8 points. So, I mean, the Heat were actually capitalizing on the turnovers that they got. The Knicks couldn't buy a bucket. Because I guarantee you,
and the Knicks out-rebounded them by 9, too.
I guarantee you, I didn't I didn't break this down to see how many rebounds, like the turnovers, what shots they were. But if I'm willing to bet, most of those 8 turnovers were 3-point attempts. That's why the points are so low. Most of those turnovers, they would try to shoot a 3, and then it would probably be a miss. That's what my guess would be. I don't think those are all 2-pointers. Because in the paint, they dominated. 62 points to 38 points.
Yeah.
And in the first half, they only missed 4 inside shots. And in the second half, let's just start shooting threes. Why not? You're down by 6 starting the fourth quarter, and you don't play the style of basketball that has been your benefit. Now, Mitchell Robinson got banged up on his ankle. Hartenstein went down on his back. It looked like he was injured for a quick minute. Jalen Brunson now has a sore right ankle. So I don't know what's going on with the Knicks. I think they'll step it up in game 2, which is tomorrow. I don't think this is going to be a Heat sweep or a Heat in 5. I think the Knicks are going to get on a roll here. They stole one from Cleveland in the prior series. Now the Heat stole one at MSG. The Knicks have home court advantage. I think that's to their benefit.
The Knicks lost by 7. They missed 8 free throws. They only shot 60% from the free throw line.
It was
the Heat
bad.
Showed 80%, and they had 23 points off of fouls, where the Knicks only had 12. So the game was won on the free throw line by the Heat. 23 of 29, 80%. The Knicks only shot 20 free throws, 60%. They only made 12 of them. You
can, because since Julius Randle's out, you can't have your next 2 best guys, which is Jalen Brunson and R.J. Barrett. You can't have them having like what 66% of your turnovers. They had 9 turnovers. They had 9 turnovers to the entire Knicks 13.
I think that R.J. Barrett was forcing it.
He was
forcing it, you know.
The Knicks at the end were not playing like a team.
When he was driving, he should have dished it a few more times, you know. Instead, he tried to go to the hoop. I mean, he's had good success against Miami. I guess he figured those shots were going to drop.
He started off incredibly.
Yeah, he started off very well.
But then, you know, the Knicks at the very end, they were down by 6, and I guess each player came out with a mentality of, I'm going to win this game, not we are going to win this game. They played individual basketball, and that's what really cost them, because they were bad on defense, no real communication. The offense was poor and slow. The defense was even slower. It was all around just a bad basketball game for the Knicks. But I do think they'll rebound, because Julius Randle's now questionable instead of doubtful and out. So we're going to see just how well the Knicks do in game 2 tomorrow. I do expect them to play better. I think they'll shoot better than 20% from 3.
They've got to do that.
But I think if they don't shoot better, I think you got to go back to what you need to play, and that's big ball. That's bully ball. Get down low, start making shots down there, because that's what your major success point was. Really, your only success point was your points in the paint. Otherwise, it's going to be another one of these games where you completely blow a first half lead and you lose by 7 to the Heat. I'm going to say, they're not a better basketball team. The Heat are not better. They're older, they're slower, they can't rebound. And yet they're beating you because Jimmy Butler decides, you know what, let me become Michael Jordan in the playoffs. But it wasn't a Jordan-esque performance. It's just you beat yourself up. That's all the Knicks did. They beat themselves up.
The Heat didn't panic. They got down by 14, right? They slowly closed the gap to get down by 5 at halftime. They played a great second half.
Right.
And I think they were well coached, and the players are smart. I think they may be old, but they're experienced.
Correct.
And I thought Kyle Lowry, he played a very good game in the second half. He didn't play that much in the first half. But the second half, he played extremely well. I thought he was a difference maker in this game.
Once Jimmy Butler, the last 5 minutes, Kyle Lowry needed to step up to maintain that Heat lead, and he did exactly that. So you got to. I mean, the thing with the NBA now is no lead is safe. With that 3-point line and with the way that now players are able to shoot the 3 ball, no lead is safe. And the Heat proved that in a few games against the Bucks. Down by 20 points, down by 18 points, you come back and win. I mean, it's just no lead is safe. You got to go up, and you just got to You could not really step your foot off the gas. You could let it up a little bit if you're up by 15, 20 points, but you can never just fully let off the gas and just say, 20-point lead, we're safe for the rest of the game. You can't do that.
I was surprised the Heat won, but after I watched them play in the second half, I think the Knicks have got something to worry about, man. Unless Jimmy Butler is really hurt pretty bad, if he can't play. And I just think the injuries are too much for the Heat now. They've no Hero, no Oladipo, no Jimmy Butler. Come on. That's going to be too much for them.
I think Jimmy Butler will sit out game 2 knowing he'll have 2 games at home, and then that's where I think the Heat could take a 3-1 lead.
Well, they did what they have to do for this series so far. They stole 1 game.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
They took the home court advantage away from the Knicks for the moment.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what the plan is for game 2. But we will see. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.